Right, hello everyone. Welcome to Haley's stream for WAOF1 Tuesday nights, and it is Imola for round 2 of the season, full qualifying 50% race. Evening, Mr. Well. I hope you're feeling a little bit better at the moment than you have been. That bloody thing still around COVID. At the moment, we got 19. But I just read that somebody... Yeah, so Rich is just joining us. So it is a full grid. Rich is just joining us because he was actually in the lobby, but he had a blackout and has had to switch back on. So just getting him in. And then, I guess, Mr. Well will give the all go. So into quali, as I say, 50% race at Imola. Normally quite a good race around here for comms, especially. I hate driving this track. I absolutely despise it for driving, but I mean that's mainly because I'm a pad player and it is really not suited for pad players on this game, as are about 19 of the tracks not suited for pad players, but hey ho, most of us pad players tend to do okay, so we can't moan. What can I expect? I think we're just going to be expecting more of the same from last week, really. It's going to be very competitive through Q1 and 2. I think you'll then see some of the fastest guys go even faster. Normally do. And yeah, it's going to be interesting, actually. I'm more interested in who's going to get through Q1 than I am in who's going to get pole. So we'll have to see. So, oh, that's a good start. Absolutely tipping down with rain. Absolutely hammering it down. Well, it is Imola, the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, and it is always at risk of rain. Well, love this track from the practices I've done just now. On a controller, it's blooming awful. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't even know the reason. I honestly don't even know the reason why it's such a bad track for controller players. I guess because it's quick, fast turns. Like the chicanes don't slow you down that much. You're down to like 5th gear going through them or whatever. So apart from the one in sets of 3. Hello, Rich. Good evening. Welcome. Beyond View. I'll view to say it. No, that's wrong. Is that right? I don't know. Let's get the details up. Here we go. So details up, and we're just waiting for a driver to go out. You're going to see into. I don't think it's actually quite. I don't know. I mean, it looks. There's a lot of puddles, but we are in the pit lane, so. Yeah, it's not just me, is it? I am not. Oh yeah, there is game. Sorry, I couldn't even hear the engines. My headset turned down too low. Good, says Mr. Well. I don't know what that's about. Good, is that because of the rain? Good. What are you saying good for? Good. That's how you usually say it. So, first out on track, no surprise, as I was saying last week, Mr. Gooner, he loves to take the spotlight. And we have Boss Membrane just behind him. So, 2 of the high flyers in this division. Both out on track quickly. I have absolutely no idea what the weather's going to do. I don't particularly want to know, so any drivers that might feel the urge to let me know, please don't. I'd rather not know. I'd rather see the surprise of anybody watching. I've gone through patches with that. When I first started doing comms, I preferred not to hear it. Then I went through a patch where actually I like to know what was going on. Now again, I'm back to preferring not to hear it. So that's what we'll go with. Chicane set to 3, really, really difficult. How many of these guys actually thought to put a bit of wet practice in just in case? I don't think I've done that since 2023 or whatever year was the last time they did wet time trial. Don't think I've ever done a wet practice session since. But here we go then. We'll go on board with Gunnar as he can take us around the first lap of the evening. We won't do the hilly hot lap just simply because I'm not 100% sure. So we won't do it just yet. See if it dries up a bit. You see, very wet. Such as this year's game, the full wet tyres are pretty much useless this year, so the inters tend to be the way to go, no matter how wet it is, it seems. And I guess I made a comment actually to the guys in a party when we were racing somewhere, and I think it was Singapore, and the wets just were so slow, even though it was absolute full wet, like monsoon weather. And I don't like this. It's silly that the full wets aren't any good. But then somebody did, I didn't like it because it didn't seem realistic. But then somebody pointed out to me, if it was realistic in that sort of weather, the cars would have been pulled off track. So that's why I think the inters always tend to be better, because in real life these days, whenever they get the full wet weather, they just pull the cars off track. It's almost pointless them having those tyres, really. Anyway, Gunnar about to cross the line to give us our first time of the evening. 27.7. What's Boss Membering going to do? He was just behind. Am I going to get to him in time? Just about. 29.1 from Boss. So a 1.4 second gap between two drivers that are usually pretty close. Ferrari coming around to start a lap, so let's go to that Ferrari. That is Mr. Whale. Let's see Whale's first lap of the evening. I will try and remember in qualifying where I can to try and get full laps in for you, rather than that's what can happen when you just see each car just completing the last couple of corners as they come across the line. In my opinion, much better to see somebody's full lap. As Steersy goes fastest, 27.5. Admiral 29.4 goes into P4. Rich 29.5. 31.2 from Kev. And that was Chris going into P3 on a 28.9. Daddy Chris, as he likes me to call him now. Ryan Air goes into P2. Split Steersy and Gunnar 27.7. Good lap from Ryan. Watson 31.0. Karma reduced 29.1. Only just behind Chris. 5 and 6 for the McLarens at the moment. And usually in these sessions you find the track getting quicker and quicker as the session goes on. The drier line starts to appear, and you can see at the moment there isn't really. You can sort of kind of see a racing line, but it's not very visible at all, so got to be careful there. Well, it will invalidate you doing that. Got away with it that time. No, and does go out, go P4. So good lap from Whale. 27.9. And to Chewbacca, who's very early in his lap, new driver to WAOF1. So good luck to him. I think he did race last week, if I remember rightly. Fast left-hander. Those corners are the ones that really see a difference in these conditions. Minerale. Very difficult corner, Aqua Minerale, but he ran in no ABS. It's a difficult corner to brake for because of the little right-hander that leads into it. So you've got to make sure you straighten up. Take a line through the flat-out right-hander that precedes it, but make sure you get the steering straight in order to brake. Or of course you can brake at a lower brake pressure, but have it. And decent lap from Chewbacca, 29.9, P14 at the moment. Let's go to Ozers. So just looking, actually, I think we've got Beastie or Falco. It's Falco coming out the final corner ready to start a lap. So again, let's see the full lap. from Falco. So again, Falco, one of the top drivers in terms of pace in this division. But in these conditions, that can go out the window sometimes. And invariably, you normally see one or two surprises in Q1, and maybe 3 or 4 surprises in Q2. But it's hard to know what surprises, what would constitute a surprise in this division, because it is so competitive. I think everybody on the grid is capable of getting through Q1. As Tolu now goes fast and is 1.1 seconds ahead of Karma, who crossed the line just after him actually, so I thought I didn't see the McLaren driver's name come up at the top, so but significantly faster than what Gunar's lap was, and Gunnar improves and goes into P2. Down now to these final 2 corners of the double left-hander. Again, another one very easy to invalidate, just going a little bit too wide on the right. On both of the left-handers, it makes it very easy to invalidate there. 27.9 from Falco puts him into P8, but bear in mind that's his first run. Let's go to Beastie, who's just going around the final corner to set his first lap of the evening, and it looks like it's going to be competitive. 28.1 moves him into P11, just ahead of teammate Membrane. Admiral goes P1, 26.0. You can clearly see now what I was mentioning earlier on about the racing line starting to appear. Well, it is, and because of that, the track is getting faster. Let's see if we can spot somebody who's up or something. Here we go, there's one, Ryan. Coming out the final corner, already 1.1 up. What's he getting through the final sector? He's going to go... Oh, I thought he was going to go fastest, but he goes P2. And James immediately behind goes fastest. So the RB's up to P1 and P3 now. Split. Well, Admiral in an RB sandwich. A place I know he loves to be. Ferrari heading for the line, that is well again, who is going on to a lap, so let's go with him. The flags, and what's the yellow flag? What's going on with Barry? Oh, he's coming out the pit. Okay, sorry, I just got off because it's a bit strange because his little marker on the minimap was showing up before he'd left the garage. I thought there was an issue with it. Maybe I've seen it before on games sometimes when people get stuck in the pit lane, and I know Imola was the track that had the issue initially, so just a bit worried for Barry there. Mind you, he's still not out. What? I think there is. Ah, here he is. Here he comes. Okay. Here we are. Tolu goes fastest, 24.5. I forgot who we were watching. We were watching Mr. Whale, who's second up over the Sector 2 split. Put him up in and around Gunnar, but if he improves any more, he'll go ahead of Gunnar. Uh, 25.8 from Whale puts him up to P4. Well at the moment. Now we come to Steersy, just coming through the last couple of corners. Let's see the split, so I'm not sure if we're improving or not. Now on 27.5, he's definitely improving. 25.2 goes P2. Tolu safe at the moment. Here's Emperor, who's not on the lap actually. Let's go to his teammate Watson, who's invalidated. Who else have we got? Have we got the other Ferrari? Can we go to Ozers? Well, Ozers is improving actually. He's 2.8 seconds up through Sector 2. That's the Right, that's a 25. So it's 25.5 from Ozo as he goes into P3. Starting to sort of get towards the business end. Let's stick with Karma Reduced then, who's about to start his next run. Currently sat in P10 on the 26.2. So, a quarter of a second improvement in a moment would jump him up 3 places to P7. See, the rain clearly much lighter now, and the dry line extremely visible. Really uses the curbs through the second chicane, and he's 4.5 temps up already. So that improvement already would put him up to P5. Plus, of course, any further improvement around the lap. He's just gradually start feeling more and more grip come back to you. Might find yourself able to take the odd corner here and there a gear higher than you were at the start of the session. Just went to turn in a little bit too early into the chicane there and had to adjust, but did so well. If he'd carried on the line that he was going, he would have invalidated the lap, so did well to adjust there. Missed the second sector split. But here he comes for the line, and the McLaren goes P2, 25.0. So looking like he's in a bit of a world of his own at the moment. Very good lap from Karma. Here's Admiral, who's now dropped down to P8 after being P1 on the time that he's set in a moment, but he is improving again. And I think this lap's going to put him at least P2. Little toe to the line, but very negligible. When he goes fastest, 24.3. Who jumped up then? Was that Falcao? I think it was. Down a bit. Kev starting a lap, I think. So yeah, let's go with Kev, currently occupying P13 now. Somebody else just jumped up, so that was the other McLaren. So that was Chris jumping up to P7. Was that a Haas off track? No, I think it was just a Haas moving out of the way. See there with the way Kev attacked the stack, definitely you can clearly see there's more confidence in the grip. Yellow flag is just a Ferrari moving out of the way of a Sauber. Nicely through Aqua Minerale, a little bit of sliding maybe. Again, looked like it just wanted to step out a little bit. 3/4 of a second up. So around a 25.4. That's any improvement you can make in the final sector. So he's looking somewhere around well, to be fair, very close it is. It could be anywhere to 6 to 8 at the moment, I would say. Unless this improvement in the final sector is way bigger than you'd expect. So P9 in fact didn't make an improvement in the final sector, so he knows where the time is. Barry has validated. Hopefully he's got enough fuel to go again. Switched his ERS off. Might just want to do a bit of drag braking just to add a ERS back up to maximum before starting the next lap. Just about make it in a way. Anyway, Q1, getting close to the end of Q1, so to be quite honest, I can't think of a better driver to be on right now than the driver that's occupying P20, so stick with him. As Barry looks to see if he can get through Q1. ran wide on turn 1, which affected his line through 2. Glides nicely through the second chicane, over the split and is 2.6 up. It's a massive improvement already. Would put him ahead of Gent as it stands. But needs more. So the cut-off time at the moment is 26.097. Ryanair in P15. You think how high Ryanair has been up the order stages through this session as Admiral retires. James goes fastest, 23.9. Barry invalidates. And the checkered flag is out, so that does mean that Barry will be leaving us. Who's furthest round? Or out of the guys that are... Junkie just coming through sector 1. Just a slight gain for him. I think Beastie is the furthest round out of them. That's the end of the sector 2 split. Evening, Ransdell. As I said, evening to Ransdell, I missed the sector 2 split, so I've got absolutely no idea how we're going on. And it's down to the final 2 corners. Make or break it. Heads to the line. It's going to be 25.7. Beastie goes P16, so he's out. Junkie, half a second up. This is really tight with Chris, who's driving just ahead of him. Chris barely improves, but it was enough just to hold off Junkie Emperor. Enough just to hold him off, so he does get through Chris by the skin of his teeth. Just over a tenth separating them, but I can't remember exactly what his time was before the improvement, but that would have been mighty close. So, to finish it off, James through as fastest in Q1. The boy's getting quick. Just take a look then. So James through as fastest, steers E to P2. Admiral P3, despite actually retiring a bit before the end of the session, so we didn't get the absolute best track conditions. So which makes that all the more impressive. Rich P4, Turlu 5. I'm not going to read through them all. So let's just scroll to the bottom. We say goodbye at this stage to Emperor, Beastie, Chewbacca, JT Gent, and Barry. We've got Beastie and Chewbacca on the same row of the grid again for the second week running. That's hilarious. Can I go to the bottom? I think it got to the bottom just before it phased out. Not that they're really ever needed, but I just like to do it just so we got it, just in case, for stewards and etc. So into Q2 we go. It looks like the rain's got on heavier again. Oh, really well. Okay, so it shuts it down with about a minute left to go. Ooh, that was fun. Nicely done, Mr. Well. Through his P7, I think you were. It's looking good. So, looks like we're going to be on the inters again, which, if you followed what I said in Q1, that's what we'd expect, really. The last remaining Sauber is the first out, as you would expect, because that is Gunnar. To be fair to Gunnar, Sauber, the Minnow team at the back, do need their television time, just to get those funds up a little bit, get their cars on the screen, let the sponsors get their airtime. So, Mr. Gunnar, what's he got? Himself not high up the order in Spain last week as you'd really expect him to be. You'd pretty much expect Gunnar to be in the top 3 whenever he's racing, so see how he goes. So here's Imola, and Gunnar is one of my fellow pad racers, so it's a track he might find difficult, although I'm pretty sure historically he's actually normally done quite well at Imola. I don't know how he's doing on sort of race wins around here, but interestingly to say, just to waste a little bit of time, Imola, despite being my least favourite track, was my first ever win in league racing. Despite as well being a lap down during the race at one stage. I was lapped at one stage and came back to win the race, and that was because of rain. The rain came, but it wasn't wet enough yet for the inter tyres, so there was a safety car out, everybody pitted to a new set of slicks. But I did the opposite. As I was a lap down anyway, I stayed out to unlap myself, luckily. So unlapped myself, drove all the way round on the last lap before the safety car would come in. So on the final chance I had, went to a set of inters and drove on to win the race when everybody else pitted. So that was my first ever league win. And then everybody in the chat was claiming I didn't win the race because I was a lap down. Well, I did. But anyway, enough about me, and Gunnar 25.5, so it's definitely still quicker than it was at the start of Q1, but not as quick as it was at the end of Q1. So Watson 26.7. Here it is Steersy, British 25.9, Boss 26.6, Karma 26.6. Identical time to Boss Membrane. Boss stays in that higher position as he said it first. Steersy across the line, goes fastest, 25.4. Admiral 25.6. Who else have I missed? Ryan 26.0. Kev 30.9. Here is James 28.7. Tolu jumps up to P2 25.4. Whale has invalidated, but has recharged his battery, so off he goes again. So we'll stick with him for a full lap. Well, I'm pretty comfortable at the moment, and looks in fine form this evening. So he got through Q1 P7, so very comfortable. As James had a second attempt then, 25.2, goes fastest. You can expect that through the session again, exactly the same as Q1, it's just going to get faster and faster as we go. Not quite down to those times yet that we saw at the end of Q1. And Whale goes fastest, 25.0. Said he looked comfortable. Is it early in his lap? Falcar's right at the end of his and actually isn't on a lap, so let's switch then to the other Ferrari driver of Mr. Roser's. See him for the second time this evening. So I think for two Ferrari drivers, but around the mission, will admit they got it wrong last week at Spain. Both two-stopped. The two-stop was clearly too slow in comparison to the one. Moses did tell me after that his wasn't... Well, he had planned a two-stop, but he hadn't planned to start on a softs. That was an accident. He was supposed to start on the mediums, I believe. .25.3 then from Moses, go P6, so that's 4 and 6 then for the Ferraris. Can we see any minuses? Admiral's got a minus, but that was for the end of his lap, not for the sector 1. Kev looks to me like he's on a lap as he flicks up to overtake, and that's great to see. I don't know if you guys recall back to last week, but I mentioned it was a couple of drivers using hot lap in qualifying, which is significantly slower on this year's game, and Kev was one of them. So I mentioned it to him afterwards, and it turned out Steersy had already contacted to tell him as well. And as you can see, this week he's using medium and overtake as he improves a few temps. He's competitive to try and get into Q3 here. Right, so McLaren started a lap, so let's just switch to McLaren. So this is Karma reduced. Currently occupying P12, which is one place ahead of teammate Chris, who starts to his season may be slightly hampered. He's just, as I said, he now likes me to call him Daddy Chris. It's because he's just become a father. Sleep may not be at the most he's ever had, and of course he's got higher priorities than practicing for F1. So as goes fastest again. James had gone fastest with a 24.4, and Wales immediately beats it with a 24.3. They'll be in a party together, so that'll be a little bit of ribbing going on. Seems to be about, I don't know, a few hundred metres behind James when James is out on a lap, and then beats him by a 10th. Seems to get away with that a little bit for me. That looked to me like it should have been validated, but it hasn't. So he's okay, maybe a little wide on exit at the final corner. It's an improvement of just over 3/4 of a second that sees him up to P5 then, Karma, as we approach the 5 minutes to go point. It's in there invalidating. As we've already seen, Well and James have just done laps, so on an out lap. Tolu on a light lap, and he's just coming to the line, and we haven't seen Tolu yet tonight. Hola, Mr. Batty. Batty. Evening, sir. How's it going, mate? That was South African, by the way, not Australian, just to say. Tolu, who always made a bit of a hash of the second chicane, just turned in a little bit too early for the second part of the chicane, and it just seemed to bump the car over towards the outer part on the exit, but not in a... No, you want to use the outer part on the exit, but not like that. And picks up a bit of grass on the entry into the fast left. So not a perfect lap here from Tolu by any means. He is sticking with it. to the last couple of corners. We've got a Ferrari just ahead of us. I think he's heading on to a lap. Tolu across the line, improves 3/4 of a second almost, and goes into P5, but that's not where you'd expect him to be. But as I said, there was clearly a few mistakes there. Head to Admiral, who's on a lap, and Welke's fastest again, 23.7 this time. Oh, a little mistake from Admiral, and nearly drops it, but saves it very well. But that will be a lap destroyer, that one. To go to Daguner. Oh no, 1/4 of a second up, sorry, through sector 1. How's what going? Mate, right. What? How's what going? How are you going? I need to have a word with Whale. I know, what's going on? It's a little bit throttle happy on the exit of Aqua Minerale. Nicely through the chicane though. Is it going to be enough to dethrone Whale? Seems to struggle a bit to get out of the stops for the penultimate corner, and as such, his turning was a bit late. But across the line he comes, and up to P2 he goes. And Tolu invalidates as he's just starting a lap, but we've just seen Tolu, so set down to Falcao. No, Falcao's... Yeah, actually, Falcao's about to start a lap, so let's stick with him. Is about to cross the line. Well, if he did, he didn't do anything. Might have been Waldo. So Falcao needs to find a lap here. Currently sat in P12. It's not good enough for him. Ferrari gets out of the way. A curb used. That seemed better. You notice when we were on board with Tolu, I sort of threw him out to the left. Didn't do that with Falcao there. As Rich goes fastest, 23.5, so the pace of the track coming down. This really could be a last to the line scenario here. Yes, Fatsy. Falcao then into the penultimate corner. Let's get a bit much curb, but it's not too bad. We're going to see an improvement here. 25.2 currently. What's he improved to? 23.5 goes fastest. Just ahead of Rich, but it's Williams 1-2 at the moment. Well, going on to a lap, I'd love to sit and watch him again, but got others going on now as the checkered flag is out. Steersy needs to find it. He's only 4 attempts up. He could be in trouble, you know. Yes, he's got a big gain in the final. Well, improves by 8 attempts, goes up to P4, so he's probably okay. Get down to the other drivers there, but Watson heads to the line. Watson found nearly 2 seconds, moves to P12. Admiral improving, he's a second up, which would put him around Ozers, but probably going to find some more. So he jumps out to P4. Karma not on the lap. Ozers not on the lap. Gunnar. Improvement Gunnar was through sector 2 will not be enough. He needs to find more through the final sector. He does. He jumps up to P9. Ozers through in P10. Tolu back to the pits. Does not need to complete a lap, which he'd invalidated anyway. And that is session over. Falcao's still out there, but had invalidated. Don't know if he was going again, but there's Phoebe driving. James, what happened? Rich screwed him. Oh no. Oh no. I don't know what happened because everybody was doing laps at the same time, so I've got no idea what happened to him. It is Imola, so maybe an invalidation at the worst time, but it's Falcao fastest in Q2, Rich P2, Ryan P3, Welding 4 this time, Admiral 5, Steersy, Tolu Karma, Gunnar, Ozers are the top 10, and they will make it through to the pole position shootout. Chris, Boss Membrane, James, Watson and Kev, we lose from Q2. So, mate, Chris, Boss Membrane and James. Wow. There you have it. Didn't have enough time to actually scroll through there, but the race director, but there was barely anything at the bottom, so there you have it. And hey presto, it stopped raining. So is it going to be a dry Q3? Well, at the moment, it's still damp. There's no doubt about it. You can see the wet patches. The game's got them on the slick softs at the moment, but there's absolutely no doubt that the start of this session is not going to be fully, flat out for these tyres. So this is a session where it's going to improve constantly. So I wouldn't mind here just sticking 5 or 6 laps of fuel in the car and doing a few laps, but you could, I don't know with Imola if you... I don't think you can really be fast enough to get 3 runs in here at Imola because the pit lane is so slow. I don't know. I've never tried to, so it's difficult to say. But yeah. So almost an XRS McLaren clean sweep. Absolutely rapid, and then what, James? I didn't see it. I don't know what happened. I know you've been eliminated, obviously, but I don't know what happened. Did you just invalidate? See Gunnar sliding about a bit. These early stages out on a slate, so you go on board at this point. See the darkness of the track tells us it's still damp. James blocked. Oh, he's blocked. Oh no. Disaster. You were definitely looking rapid as well. So what a shame. Aston ahead is Steersy. Just to realise that Gunnar's on a lap. He's currently giving him loads of dirty air. This isn't nice for Gunnar. Put this Aston out of the way. I don't think it'd be... Yeah, that's the lap over. But I don't think he'd have been over the moon with that. I'm not going to lie. Right, we know where Steersy is. Who's furthest? It looks like Admiral. He's about to start his lap, so... Yeah, some others on laps already, sorry, I hadn't realised that. Furious. Well, if it's who Fatty said, I would be as well, because you've just been dumped out of Q3 by a reserve by being blocked. So I'd be pretty fuming, as you know. So Gunnar obviously goes fastest 26.4, but it's not a proper lap. So Karma 22.8. As we watch along with Admiral in through Aqua Minerale. Reach 22.4. So, yeah, Rich 22.4, Karma 22.8, Ryanair 22.9. Those are the three competitive laps at the moment. Admiral 21.1, fastest by a long way. So he's quite far around. Just wondering if Gunnar, yeah, he is going again. So it does become difficult. Obviously, I've said about watching full laps where I can. It does become difficult to do that in Q3 because generally everybody's on track at the same time. And then they're back to the pits once they've completed their laps. So 120.6 from Gunnar improves to fastest. Steers he has invalidated. Is Falcao going around to start a lap, so Ozers will be next across the line. As DRS is enabled, which makes these laps pretty much all null and void. Knew that was going to happen at some point. May as well complete the laps because if you go back in and come back out now, it's going to be too early in the session. So Ozers goes P2, 20.8. Here as well, next to complete a lap as the driver ahead was pulling back to the pits. Mr. Whale, 22.0 goes P4. Going slow, he might be out of fuel because he's got a bit there. He might just be conserving because obviously he did the extra lap that he perhaps wasn't expecting to do, so maybe having to take the fuel a bit easy to get back to the pits. They're just actually improving on this second lap because DRS is now active. He's got the fuel to get back to the pits. He can potentially actually complete this lap and then go back to the pits. Doesn't need to come in this lap if he's still improving. Plenty of time for him then to do an in-lap, get back to the pits and then get out again. Gonna head for the line. He is. Could go fastest here. He does. 19.5, 1.1 seconds. Take a clip. Take a screenshot, Ozers. 1.1 seconds faster than Gunnar for pole position. Well, was also improving massively, but invalidate. I don't know where that. I didn't think he was invalidated when I went onto him, but maybe he was. Falcao then 52.168. He's almost let your house on him. Going provisional pole here. So these times are going to drop significantly. 1:18.0 from Falcao, so already a second and a half Ozers faster than Ozers' time. Tolu out on a lap as well. And I'd imagine these guys are fueled to do an out lap, hot lap, cool down lap, hot lap. Because this track is not 100% dry yet. That's why there's an 18.0 from Falcao. That is not the sort of time we'd expect on a fully dry circuit. So it's still evolving. Sort of 13s, 14s, 15s, that sort of area. I'm not, it's so long since I raced Imola. I'm not 100% sure, but definitely 14s and probably 13s. So here's Tolu, who's going to do a 16.8. So again, we're at least 2 to 3 seconds away from where you would expect pole position to be on a fully dry circuit. Karma reduced out the final corner, heads into the pits. So yeah, late decision, but the right one. Definitely couldn't get back round again, so had to do it there and then if he was going to. So, well, look who is on the outlap furthest round. It's Mr. Whale. Covid well, as he shall now be known. Where are you driving around on medium? Your outlap, sir. So, here he goes. Get your overtake on well. The fact he's still on medium ERS, so this isn't his actual lap. He's doing another outlap. If I was him, I would slow down because, like I said, this track's still evolving. He's going to hit the line a good minute before the checkered flag's out. Again, look, Admiral not interested in driving this lap as an actual hot lap. What will Rich do? So he's going to cross the line with about 1:38 left. He is in overtake mode, so this does, at the moment at least, does look like his actual run. Plenty of time to go around again. Don't know if he had plenty of fuel though. He's gone wide at turn 1. Did save it though, did hold it. Pretty good second chicane, I must say. So, obviously, everybody's going to be up at this point. Rally heads down to this awkward chicane. I personally find that probably the second hardest chicane of the season. For me, the Canada one in the first set to the right-left is a horrible chicane because it's blind. So Rich heads for the line then. It's a 15.3, so still not hitting the times I'd expect. Really could go down to last over the line here. So the last driver has crossed the line who was actually on a hot lap, and it's one of the Williams. I'm not sure which one. I think it must be Falco, I'm sure. Whale 15.0. We're getting closer. Still not there. Was Tolu crossed the line on a 16.8. That is not what you expect from Tolu, and that could well see him down towards the 10th place spots as Ryan goes 15.7. Admiral powers out of the final corner, heads to the line. Can't defend well, he goes P4. Ozers to the line, 14.8. Ozers goes fastest. Are my eyes deceiving me? Because momentarily there, towards the end of Q3, it was an Ozers Whale 1-2. But it's been ruined. Gunnar goes P5. Here comes Karma. He improves to P5. Falco. I don't know where he went to. I think it's P3. It is. So he's jumped to P3, and I think that splits the Ferraris. But just for a moment there, we thought we might get a Whale or Ozers Whale 1-2. I had to settle for 2-4, but I think somehow they'll be over the moon with that. But for me, Whale had the pace for pole there. He was a little early onto that lap, and I mean it's hard to say if it would have actually gained in 4.5 attempts, but a chance. It could have been a chance. Steers the NOA, takes pole position. Ozers amazing P2. Falco in 3. Whale in 4. Rich 5, Karma 6, Gunnar 7, Ryanair in 8th, Admiral 9, and Tolu in P10. Wow, what a qualifying! So, the race is exciting. What sort of weather are we looking at? We're onto the loading screen, and it's clear, dry, sunny. I think these are the absolute clear, dry, so the hottest conditions you can get at this track. So that could force a couple of two stops. I don't know. You don't really want to be two stopping this track. You need to one stop it because the pit lane here is horrendous. It's very long. It's very slow. So it's a very long pit stop. I'm pretty sure it's only second to Silverstone in length of pit stop. So you have to one stop this race. So you've got to find a way to do it. But with the damage model this year, any little mistakes, because we've increased our damage for this year, for this season, any little mistakes, we'll see extra wear on the tyres and may force people into some two stops. So, going to be interesting to watch. And we will watch it in about 3-4 minutes time. I'll be back with you ready for the formation lap, so I'll see you then. Right. Okay, I'm back with you guys, ready for this very well Imola race. I'm rather excited about now. This could be fun. Drivers listening, please. You know what turn one when the early corners are like around here. Please don't go stupid. Good night, Dad. Sorry, excuse me. Right, actually I'm going to go for... Oh no, okay, we're getting down. It's alright, don't worry about it. I'll suffer. Suffer for my art. So, here we go then, onto the formation lap. So, grid rundown first. So, Steersy starts pole with Oses alongside in P2. Falcao in 3 with Well in 4. Rich starts P5. Karma in 6. Gunnar starts P7 with Ryanair in 8. Rich gets disqualified. Lovely. Admiral starts P9. Tolu rounds out the top 10. Chris in P11 with Boss in 12. James starts P13 with Watson in 14. Kev in 15 alongside Emperor in 16. My favourite lineup of the grid, Beastie in P17 starts alongside Chewbacca in P18. JT Gent starts 19 with Barry round at the end of the grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers opting to start on the hard tyres first, so keep an eye out for them later in the races particularly. Rich in P5, the highest of those, then Tolu in 10, Boss in 12, Watson and Empress are both fast drivers, and Barry are the hard starters. Everybody else on the mediums. So definitely won't help Rich that he's DSQ'd the formation lap, because that will mean he'll start with the tyres down on their minimum, which I think off the top of my head is 70 degrees. I might be wrong on that. It's just off the top of my head. So, the final drivers coming round to the start of the grid. It doesn't look like I'm going to get a good angle from the broadcast cam, at least for the start. So let's go. Oh, in fact, let's go on board with Rich, because he didn't get away, I don't think. There's the rev, so he is revving. Away he goes. So we head down to turn 1 for the first time. It is Steersy leading, Oses 2. Well in 3, but he's gone deep and goes across the gravel. 2 other drivers follow him. Karma was one of them. I'm not sure who the other was. Well, did manage to get back on, still in P5. So he's only dropped 1 place from where he started. And we've got a yellow, and it's Chewbacca is out of the race. Can't actually see the Mercedes, but it's there. Oh dear. Chewbacca out. It looks like we've got a VSC, because drivers are driving slowly. It's not telling me it's a VSC on my screen, but it's a full track yellow, and there's no sign of the actual safety car. So VSC might be a good thing, just to stalemate the start a little bit. I just want to lose Steersy here. I don't know what the gap was when this VSC came out, but it's out the DRS at the moment. So I wish we could get a replay of that start, because he saw well off to a fantastic start, got up into P3, then just goes deep into turn 1 across the gravel, but 2 more drivers then follow him as well. Barry's into the pits, and I think that's because he got damage off the retired car. As we're back going, so Oses closed right back up. So we're all in DRS of each other again. The only 1 second gap, or the first 1 second gap at the moment, is between 14 and 15, which is Emperor and Kev, and the only other one is between 17 and 18, which is Karma and Gent. Can Ozers stick with Steersy here? No Steersy's pace. Ozers, for me, in the last sort of 3 to 4 months or so, is definitely the most improved for me, as Rich is off track. It's at the chicane and sets her free. He rejoins P13 and has been given a penalty for it as well. Did Ozers hold DRS? It doesn't look like he did. But look how quick he's catching Steersy in a way. So it's going to be hard for Ozers to hold on to him, because it looks to me, just going from that, it looks to me that Ozers is running a lower downforce setup to Steersy. So you'd fancy Steersy being able to break the 1 second, which he's already close to doing, through the corners. Gunnar all over Falcao, who's lost the 1 second to Ozers at the moment. Well, in tow as well, just behind. Falcao so close to getting back. Well, he has got back into DRS, and we've just passed through the detection. So I believe Falcao does have DRS. We're just about to find out. Starts flashing though. Just he's in hot lap. Must be under 10%. So Gunnar, seeing that, was interested, but couldn't get alongside early enough, so opted to back out of it that time. Well, could have a chance if he got a car around. It's an Aston. So that's Kev round at the first chicane. Just to keep out the way of Tolu there. I didn't notice, but something's happened to Tolu as he's dropped right down the order. Starts at P10. So Ozers at the moment is not able to stick with Steersy, but he is really close to being able to drop Falcao, and it looks like he's done it this time. So the green circles on the track map are the detection zone. The yellow circles that are not far after it is the speed trap, believe it or not. Why the speed trap's there, don't ask me. It's ridiculous. I think it'd be the end of this long straight. But no. So I'll just confirm that DRS was not open, so he had dropped it. So James makes the move on Admiral and is up to P6 already. Start from James. I forgot to go to the changes of positions for lap 1, but James already up 7 places. An interesting battle at the moment for P2 as it stands. And all he's doing is he's got out of the 1 second of Ozers. He's only just there. Got a yellow flag and it looks like a Red Bull. So I think that was Gent. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that was Gent. Because Tolu now finds himself ahead of him, so yeah, pretty sure. So already on lap 5 of 32, these mediums won't be feeding it too much yet, but it won't take much longer before they do, as Tolu goes past Karma. Used to be a move made in the chicane. Falcao getting very close to Ozers, up towards turn 1, but not close enough to make a move. Managing his battery better at the moment. Should give him a chance of fending the Williams off. Gunnar has dropped out of the 1 second at Falco. Has reached its fastest lap, 1:16.7. Made a stop to the hard tyres. It's on the hards, with clean air, admittedly, but it's on the hards, lapping fastest already. Because so we know that fresh hards right now would be faster than mediums, the mediums that these guys are on. He's obviously set that fastest lap despite not being in DRS of anyone, and DRS around here is pretty hefty, as we're about to find out. So Falco about half a second back from Ozers. Looks like he's going to catch him. Well, yeah. Falco himself decides it's too late and doesn't want to risk both the races by trying to force his way through, so opts to leave it for another day, another lap. Smart that from Falco, in my opinion. Well, got past Gunnar, but I missed it. Oh no. So Whale up to P4, Ozers and Whale in the Ferraris, 2 and 4. Who'd have thought that after the Spain race last week? Just runs wide there. Really came off the power. You could really see that he came off the power, so I suspect that he would have escaped a warning there. Which Gunnar then picks up through Aqua Minerale. Passed it back to Gunnar. Expect to see a lot of penalties coming into this race as Kev is into the pits. I'm just checking where he is. He is actually just exiting. So he is exiting way ahead of his teammate who is leading the race. So he's not in any risk of falling a lap down, because that's the last thing he wants, obviously. Don't fall a lap down because if a safety car comes out, you're back in it. So Gunnar just couldn't get close enough there. Watson getting past Boss Membrane. It looks like there's a bit of contact. Watson through and into P10. Can't comment on the contact. I just didn't actually see it. Just saw that there was contact. So at the moment, Steersy pulling away. So about 3 seconds, and that's probably down to the fact that Ozers is under pressure from Falco. And Steersy had pulled away to about 1.7. Ozers was keeping that about the same. But since then, he's come under pressure from Falco, and so Steersy's just pulled away a bit more. Now, can Falco, from what we've seen, if Falco is about 4 attempts behind when he gets to the DRS line, then Ozers is toast. So let's see. It's close to it. Just over 4 attempts, but I think he's going to fly by. Yeah, nothing Ozers can do this lap. And Gunnar as well, getting past Whale. So both Ferraris lose a place down the pit straight. Ransdell back out of it. He's so fast nowadays. He is. He's done really, really well. Proud of the wee man. So Falco and Gunnar getting past the 2 Ferraris, but can they get away? That's the bigger question. So look at James, because when James overtook Admiral, he had over 2 seconds to catch these guys. We've got a yellow flag, and that is JT Gent. Unfortunately, finds his... Oh, I thought he'd find his way to an escape road there, but then goes back across the gravel. So he drops down to P18, but is still going, and it appears is intact as well. So it's drive from James. Could be getting even more impressive. Is he going to try and fight his way past these cars? might he actually try and undercut him? We're getting close to the pit stops now. Just wonder if James can't find his way past on this lap. Will he turn around and actually pit so as to undercut him? The undercut's pretty strong around Imola. Really does depend what the wear is on the tyres at the moment. It might be too early at the moment. It's actually good. I'm sure you could do 22 laps on the hards, so he could do it. Will he be giving himself too much of a disadvantage later in the race? Karma further down, getting past Barry. DRS down to turn 1. Karma back up to P16. Just notice Watson has caught right onto the back of Ryan Air now. Ryan doesn't look like he's going to have DRS, so you would think that Watson's lining up. Should be a pretty basic overtake here. Loads of battery as well, so you would fancy Watson being P8 by the end of this straight. And the flashing light on the back of the RB as well is just like a come get me. It's like it's a massive come and get me. Through he goes, and that could not be better timed because it means the DRS has pulled him into Admiral's 1 second. And of course Watson starting on the hards, he's now getting the benefit of that as the mediums are getting towards the end of their life. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Ransdale. So, but if I'm James here, I'd definitely consider it. To jump both cars, and with the pace he's shown, it'd be extremely difficult for them to overtake him afterwards, I think. I'm sure it's in his mind. I'm sure it's in his mind whether to do it or not. Gent is in, and on to fresh hards. An exit P19. And he's going to fall a lap down here, but he doesn't need to panic about that because he's just a little bit worried about where he's exiting here. Yeah, no, he's at his. I think that's really good from Gent. I think he's absolutely aware. I think Gent was absolutely fully aware. The yellow flag, by the way, was Gent just because he was going slow. So I think he was fully aware of the cars that were coming through. But as I say, he's no need to panic at this stage because these guys will be pitting very, very soon. And so that will put him back onto the lead lap, which is where he wants to be, just in case of any safety cars that can get him to the back of the field later in the race. A bit accustomed at the moment to not really seeing safety cars on this year's game. I'm interested this lap now. I genuinely, surely, if neither of these two guys pit ahead of him, then he's got to dive in. So Falcao in. Neither of them do. Oh, well. I'm amazed. We've got a yellow flag though. I think that's Karma, who's off and does hit the wall. It's at the fast left-hander in sector 2. So not. I don't know what's going on. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I want us to check the damage. So yeah, quite significant damage to the front wing, both end plates and part of the main bodywork of the front wing missing. So definitely back to the pits for Karma. So Steersy with that wonderful gap that allows him to just basically stay out until everybody behind him pits. So he can literally just stay out, wait for Roses to pit and then pit the next lap, because he's never going to get undercut 5 seconds in one lap. So make sure he's on the fresher tyre for the rest of the race. You couldn't be in a better position. But no, he's not going to do that. He's just going to pit in a way. Gunnar in. Whale in. James in. So, well, Whale has picked up 10 seconds speeding in the pit lane. Whale! Oh, what am I trying to look at? Yeah. I was just checking to see if any of the others had, but no, they haven't. It's just Whale. Oh, man. I can hear him. I can hear him in that party right now. Because the other problem, it's going to have guys that have started on the hard tyres. When they switch to mediums somewhere around lap sort of 18, 19, 20, that sort of area, they're going to be chasing him down and into that, knowing full well they've only got to get to within 10 seconds to gain that place. Now the only thing, because we didn't see the pit entries, we didn't actually see him going into the pits, so the only thing that might have happened, and this is just me hoping him really, is that if James maybe gave him a little nudge across the line, which made him speed, then he can get that removed. So, and that might just be me hoping more than anything else, as Ozers pits from the lead. Gunnar also in, reacting of course to the two behind. So that promotes our hard starters up into the top 4 positions. So Watson leads, Tolu second. Oh, Tolu second, and that's him round. Tolu round. Needs to be careful. Needs to be careful. Well, we seem to spot him and know what he was doing, so also it ends well, I guess. That looked a bit hairy to me. So it's Watson P1, Boss P2, Emperor P3. Currently as it stands, they would like a safety car in 2 to 3 laps time. That would be perfect. James goes past Rich. Probably giving him a little... probably flipping him off as he goes past, to be honest, because I understand he was blocked by Rich in qualifying. I didn't see it in Q2, which saw him get knocked out. So if that's the case, he's probably flipping him off as he goes past. Ozers against Tolu. Ozers doesn't need it. Oh, Tolu, what are you doing? And then he spins just to make it even worse. Well, that was horrendous from Tolu. I'm sorry, Tolu, but that was not your best racing, sir. Tolu might say, well, why didn't he just hold off and wait for the DRS down the straight? And he's probably right, but it doesn't matter if the guy goes for a move, you've got to leave the room. So, how do we actually stand? So, Steersy effectively leads this race, although not on track at the moment. Valkal overall P2, Ozers overall P3. But he's got a big gap to catch Valkal. Does have 2 lap fresher tyres. That's going to be a big ask to gain that sort of time. So Chris on the back of Ryanair. So this is a battle for P12 at the moment. See that again, those positions will change as the hard starters come into the pits. I still maintain that I think that's Emperor. I think that's Emperor. Yeah, he's had a little trip off track. Has he? Or was it? Yeah, it must have been. I'm sure it was. as Falcao goes past Boss, but then gives the place back. So interestingly, Falcao clearly felt that he did something wrong there, and unless there was a yellow flag, he might have overtook under yellow flag, I don't know, but ultimately gave the place back. Something else has happened. What else has happened? Something else has happened, and I'm missing it, because how is Well now on the back of Ozers? So something's happened. I'm not quite sure what's happened. So is that the case, or is Ozers actually dropped back in order to give Well a tow, knowing that Well's got that 10-second penalty, so any extra help he can give him will allow Well to keep more places coming into the race. Sorry, no move for the race lead. Steers the past Watson with the RS down to turn 1. Here's another one. Emperor getting back past Boss Membrane. Boss is coming back down to the second chicane. Emperor says, I don't want any of that, thank you very much. That's not for me, says Emperor. I think I'd have been exactly the same. So Ozers now onto the back of Emperor. It's going to be a move for Aqua Minerale. Ozers to the outside. I think there was a tiny bit of contact, but nothing really to write home about as Ozers goes through the P5. Well follows him through the P6. As Emperor under the cosh here as James also goes through. This can happen when you start on the hards. You get the guys that have pitted at the front to fresh hard tyres. Suddenly they're catching you with their fresh tyres, and it can it's a difficult way to look at it. It's difficult to think about it, because they're on fresh rubber. They need to get past. They really need to get past. So they're going to make a move wherever they can. They can't afford to be held up, I think, is the case. But yeah, at the same time they've got to do it cleanly. I think everything there was clean. Comes going around the outside, and you just know, look how much more grip. And Emperor actually looks like he's struggling on exit, look, and through goes Admiral. Those hards are absolutely cooked. Surely this is Emperor's last lap. So these guys coming off of the hards now, going on to the mediums. Should, hopefully, as long as it's not too spread out, have a fun second half of this race. Well, final third almost of this race now. Not quite 2/3, but we're almost there. Right, do we have any potentials? Well, we've got the 2 Ferraris and James. Superb drive from James tonight so far. I think Steersy, Falcao, Ozers, James fully standing out. Whale absolutely as well. It's just unfortunate he's got that 10 seconds. Admiral's having a great drive at the moment, so some real standouts. I do notice that they do appear to be admins, so as it looks like Karma is round. I can't see him anywhere, but he is round. He's over the hill and far away. Onto the track he comes. I don't think I've ever seen Karma struggle as much as he is tonight. No, didn't he last week? Oh, he might have last week, actually, thinking about it, but it just went wrong from the beginning. It's one of those. It happens. It just went wrong from the beginning for him. On board a little bit here with Falcao. This race has gone a little bit boring. Might be less boring as this Aston exits the pits ahead of him. He's a back marker, so Kev looking to get out of the way, and does so. Say it again. If you're a back marker, get out of the way on the straight. Just go round that corner and then move to the left on the straight. It's yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but. So, at the moment, James in a situation here. I told you he should have undercut. If he undercuts, he's ahead of well on track right now, and is battling Ozers. That Ferrari of well is not going to be very small for him to get past, and with Ozers helping him, he's basically helping himself. By the way, Ozers has reduced the gap to Falcao to just over 3 seconds now. As we can see a Red Bull off track. Is that Gent? It is. No idea if that's Gent just going off track to get out of the way or not. But he's going into the pits in a way. He'd stopped earlier on, hadn't he? So yeah, probably about the right time for him to make a stop. James is all over well. He moves to the inside. They're going to go through into the second chicane side by side. Oh, a little bit of wheel banging. Well, maybe push James off there. I'm not convinced. Look, James seems to struggle on the exit. That's going to allow Well to get back alongside. But was there a little touch pushing Well off there? They're battling. They're in a party together. Will they be having words? They definitely cost themselves time because look, Ozers is suddenly 2.5 seconds up the road because of that battle. But it's not just that. There's Gunnar now. There is a McLaren, which again is Karma, and it's exactly the same. It's Aqua Minerale again. So I'm not going to move to him. Let's stick here because Well's not gone yet. And he wants to protect his teammate. And here he comes. Well is back through. Nothing James can do in the DRS zone. So after all that battling on the last lap, it cost all that time. He then loses the position again. But I'm not blaming James there for that because I think he had to do something. He wants past Wells so that he can attack Ozers. And the problem was that the two Ferraris were helping each other. He knows he's going to get the place off Well because of the penalty, unless he knows that Well can get it removed for some reason. I'm not aware of that. So James wants past Well so he can go after Ozers, but also now to protect himself from Daguna and potentially Admiral, who's also catching them. Whale, of course, doesn't want James to go after his teammate, so he's going to fight tooth and nail. Here we go. So now James gets the move done, I think in the best place. So the first battle really was for that reason, to separate the Ferraris, and it worked a treat. But Ozers at the moment is after Falcao. He's got the gap down to 2.5. He's absolutely after him. It was one of the Red Bulls again. Wasn't the yellow flag there? Again, it could have just been somebody getting out of the way if they're a lap down. Looking through the field, I'm looking for other battles, but this is our battle at the moment. This is the main one. It was Beastie, by the way. We haven't seen him in the race, so which picks up another 3 seconds. So, fortunately for Falcao, it doesn't look like he's able. Oh, Karma is out. Karma is out, and that's a safety car. That's a safety car. Mr. Whale, that is perfect for you. At least you can get this served and out the way. And thank goodness the leader beat the safety car for you as well. At least he can get his 10 seconds served and out the way and battle to see if he can gain any places back. The other way round, he just loses the places. So, yeah, basically, if you've got a penalty that you can serve, then this safety car is great. If you haven't and you've got a multiple of free of some sort, then it's a disaster. So there's the penalties, and it looks, from what we can see, that both Whale and Tolu can get theirs removed, or serve them, not removed, but serve them. The only way this isn't good for Whale is if something had happened, if he got nudged across the line so that he could have got the 10 seconds removed, then this isn't good, because he can't then get it removed. Because he's going to serve it, he can't then get it removed. So, because obviously, if you think about it, that would be like giving, well, like a 10-second bonus at the end of the race. So, anyway, everybody in, obviously. You can see a few cars have unlapped themselves there. So Barry, I think, has unlapped himself. I don't think Beastie had fallen a lap down, or Tolu, so I think it's only Barry that unlaps himself. It might have been the others though as well, I'm not sure. So, interesting to see. Look, Steersy onto Sauce, Falco onto mediums, Ozers onto mediums, James onto mediums, Gooner, Admiral, Whale all onto Sauce. So look, Whale has exited in P7. So again, it's definitely better for him, because he's now exited in the position that he was going to drop to in a way. Oh no, sorry, hang on, Chris has gone through. Or maybe he's dropped one extra place, but at least now he's pen free and can battle to see if he can gain some more. He can also get those places back, because Gooner and Chris have penalties. So yeah, it's completely changed the race. Safety car for me. How's it going? Interested to see what Tuesday races are like. They're very good. This is our first safety car of the season. Only second race of the season, but similar. Someone dropped it at Aqua Minerale, afraid, and hit the wall. So safety car is out. We don't see many at all throughout the whole season. So. Yeah, in terms of the races, it's highly competitive. Not talking about the pace being super fast. We've actually tried to limit the pace a little bit and not letting the super fast guys race in it. But I'm talking about just how Falcao's in. Oh no, you know what that is, don't you? Why is he pitted? I don't get that. I reckon it's putting him on the worn mediums that he started the race on. The fact he's putting... It took ages. I've got absolutely no idea. I'm not going to lie to you. I've got absolutely no idea why he's just pitted. I didn't see a penalty next to his name. It seems to just hold him there. Well, that's a disaster for Falcao, who was having an absolutely brilliant race. And look, he's now back onto 13 lap old hards. Just having a look through. I think Kev's trying to say to his teammate, can you let me go? I want Steersy just to nip off track and let him pass so that he can unlap himself here. Steersy, it's your teammate. Let him unlap himself. I'm going to be honest, it won't really make any difference for Kev because the safety car isn't going to stay out long enough for him to catch back round again. So... Oh no, that's what happened to Falcao. He disconnected, I didn't see him disconnect. And it's pitted him onto old hards. Well, that's heartbreaking for him. That is horrible for him. All I can say, Falcao, if you can hear me, just finish the race, man. Don't go pitting and quitting because you just lose 5 points for that. Just take what you can, take what you've got, and then I don't know, beat up something afterwards. I did say something and not someone, and I don't mean pets either. Just I don't know, punch the wall or something. What a disaster for him. I do feel bad for him because he was having such a good race. I know Ozers won't mind, and I know James won't mind. If James can hold on to this podium, this would be an outrageous podium for James. If he can hold on to this. As it feels every week when we get to this stage and I start thinking about driver of the day, I am looking at this thinking, I mean, James is the obvious choice, and I think he's probably winning that race at the moment for driver of the day. But I mean, how can I not look at Ozers as well? I mean, Steers, dominated this race tonight. Look at Admiral in P5, what a race he's having. Wales had a great night. Apart from the 10 seconds speeding in the pit lane, he's had a superb race and quality. So there's 5 or 6 drivers at the moment still in with a chance of driver of the day. Although, as I say, I think James is probably leading that race because of where he's come from on the grid. Yes, Matty, he's had an absolutely superb race. He really has. I'm a little bit worried here for Ozers. Did he overtake that Aston too early? Is he going to get a penalty flagged up here? Oh, Ozers goes off onto the grass a little bit. Oh, he's pushed round. Well, I don't know if he's pushed round or what exactly's happened there, but Ozers is round on the restart. And I think he's going to be looking back at what... Well, I've got to say, what was Kev doing there? Because he's slowing down before the line. And so Ozers... well, Una picks up another 3 seconds. And... well, Ozers drops out of the podium contention. But look who pops in. Mr. Admiral is now on for a potential podium. I think that restart is that's going to be looked at. I think by the stewards will be getting a look at that, because I don't really know what happened. I think Kev slowed a bit before the line and made Oza slow, and it's caused a bit of havoc, but I'm not sure on that. I'm just guessing by what I saw. But Steers, he's driven off. James benefits into P2. Gunnar would be very pleased to be in P3 at the moment. Well, he's still got 2.5 laps, just over 2.5 laps, to try and actually build a gap. I think he picked up another penalty actually, so he's up to 6. So yeah, but he needs to try and build that gap to see if he can fend off any of these drivers that all have penalties as well. Rich, whose race looks pretty much over early doors, is now back up to P7, okay with penalties, but back up there again. Falcao all over Barry here. Bear in mind, Falcao is now on 16 lap old hard tyres. Frozers all over Ryan. And this race isn't over for Frozers, by the way. I've just realised that if he can get past Ryan, he can still pick up P5. I hadn't realised, but Whale got caught up somewhere along the line. Sorry, I completely missed that. But Whale got caught up somewhere along the line in that and has dropped down to P16. Chris goes past Watson. He takes P5 on track. Rich is having a little look, but not able to get alongside. Well, I feel so bad for the Ferraris. They've been... Oh, Rich! Off! And he's into the wall! To the left-right chicane. The second chicane. Back onto the track. His tyres are going to be feeling it right now. Off into the gravel like that. Going sideways as well. His tyres may be a little difficult to control for the next few corners. So, Boss just needs to be a little aware of that. Which he probably isn't. Jen picks up another one. Let's get these penalties up, guys. I don't often put the penalties up on the screen for you, but let's do it tonight. So, Gunnar was 6, Chris with 3, so Gunnar's almost broke that. But at the moment, as it stands, Admiral would still take P3, which is going to give me a hell of a headache for a driver of the day. James, by the way, is actually chasing down Steer Z. It's probably going to be too late for him. And his boss gets past Barry, who turn 1 and 2. He gets past Rich as well. Battle going on further down is there. Emperor past Beastie. It looks like Beastie went off track. Rich goes past Boss, but that looks very much like he just pushed him off track to me. So Falcao is saying that I want through now. In the end, Boss does hold him off, but let's get the Steersy then. As he comes round the final corner, James got the gap to a 2.5 seconds, but it is Steersy who takes the win in Imola. James, an awesome P2. Chris jumps, well, he momentarily jumped to P3, but it's Admiral who takes the final podium spot. Ryan, brilliant from Ryan to take P4. Ozers jumps to P5 in the end, but what could have been? Chris finishes up P6. Tolu with a comeback into P7. I'll run down the rest of it in just a moment and make sure I get the race director. I'll make my decision on driver of the day as well, but I think it's well, no, look, my driver of the day is James. Admiral's going to be thinking, what have I got to do? But honestly, how can I not give it to James? It's one of those, I'm afraid. If I could give a joint driver of the day, I'll give it to him. I'll give them both it. But yeah, there we go. Steersy picking up the trophy. Those little bits there, not interested in that, but there we go. Anyway, Tolu, brilliant comeback to get P7 in the end. Gunnar with Pens dropped to P8, Watson P9, Boss Membrane in 10, Falcao 11, Whale 12, Barry 13, Rich in 14, fastest lap of the race, 1:16.324, Beastie P15, Emperor 16, Kevin 17, Gent in 18, Karma and Chewbacca were both DNFs. Let me just get to that race director and scroll through it because it's probably going to be quite long in Imola. Here we go. There we go. Just in case the stewards need them or any drivers need them for penalty removal requests. But there we go then. That is Imola. Yeah, well, I don't know, Rich. Look, it looked to me like you pushed someone wide as well at one point at the end there. So you know, if anything happened for you in a race that you thought was unfair, please report it because we can't do anything about it if people don't. Um, okay, so again, just to recap, awesome drive from the top three. James is my driver today, once again with a massive shout out to Admiral. I feel like I say this all the time, but what an incredible drive from Admiral as well. Um, Ferraris they just didn't deserve what's happened to them. Just incredible drive from the two Ferrari drivers, as well. It's just, yeah, it's gone by the by at the end of the race, unfortunately. But I think they should actually they should take heart from that performance tonight, because on that showing tonight they are a constructors contender without a shadow of a doubt. So just got to dust themselves off and go again. But other than that, guys, that is it for this evening. So good night, God bless. I'll see you again next week. But there we have it. Thank you very much.